Meanwhile, back here in Washington, President Trump's budget bill narrowly passed the Senate yesterday, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. The bill now heads back to the House, where a divide among Republicans remains and could be deepening. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has more.
On Capitol Hill today, attention now shifts to the House, with President Donald Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill officially heading to the floor overnight, but facing a potential uphill battle in Trump's own party after the bill narrowly squeaked through the Senate with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance.
The bill as amended is passed.
Republican senators made changes to the bill to get it through. Now, some moderates worrying there are too many cuts, while some Republican hardliners in the House think the changes weaken the cuts they want.
I can't imagine they have the vote. This whole thing is, I don't know what to call it. It's a show.
Speaker Mike Johnson still optimistic he can pass the bill.
I encouraged them to amend it as lightly as possible. They went a little further than many of us would have preferred. But we have the product now.
In the Senate, 3 Republicans and all Democrats voted no, including Rand Paul, who was critical of a deal hatched to win over Alaska's Lisa Murkowski.
They chose to add more pork and subsidies for Alaska to secure that vote.
Murkowski responding.
Senator Paul said that that your vote was a bailout for Alaska at the expense of the rest of the country.
Oh my God.
That's what Senator Paul said.
Senator, we've got the...
I didn't say it, ma'am. I'm just asking for your response.
My response is I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests.
Murkowski won a special carve-out for her state to soften the blow of Medicaid cuts. Those cuts just one plank of a massive bill that also extends the Trump tax cuts, eliminates taxes on tips and overtime, and funds the administration's mass deportation plan. President Trump pushing the House to get to work quickly to get the bill to his desk.
It's a great bill. There is something for everyone.
That was NBC's Ryan Nobles with that report. Joining us now, former MSNBC host Chris Matthews. His Substack is titled Hardball with Chris Matthews. Pulitzer Prize-winning author and presidential historian Doris Kearns Goodwin, an NBC News national affairs analyst, and a partner-in-chief political columnist at Puck, John Heilman. John, I'll go first to you. Your reaction when you see that Lisa Murkowski has described her vote here as agonizing. She's urging the House to make changes to a bill that she sees as imperfect, and yet she still voted yes on it. Just your reaction to the way that this has actually unfolded before our eyes.
Well, I think, Ali, I think Lisa Murkowski describes the feelings of a lot of senators across the spectrum, which is that they hated the process. They don't really love the final product, and yet all of them are faced with the same reality as Republicans on the House side, which is that something, from their political point of view, something has to pass, or all of those tax cuts from 2017 expire at the end of the year, which causes a massive tax increase or a significant tax increase across the board, and Republicans will have gotten nothing done between the time that Donald Trump came into office in January, effectively, and the midterm elections. The stakes of this bill. I mean, people throw around too big to fail all the time as a phrase. This is really one where the phrase meets the political stakes here. And so it doesn't surprise me that the bill passed the House. It didn't surprise me yesterday that it passed the Senate. The path to passage was going to have twists and turns. And Lisa Murkowski's disgust over it, I think, is real. But I think, as Jay Mart was saying earlier on the show, there's a long history of United States senators being bought off by their parties and by their presidents to support legislation they don't love, being bought off in terms of making sure that the bill had lesser impact or greater impact, greater positive impact or smaller negative impact on their individual states. I'm not exactly condoning or excusing the outcome here in her case, but it is not something we've seen it many times before. And I think you're going to see this also on the House side with these hardline conservatives who are now making a lot of noise. I'm not the only person who's predicting this. Something's going to pass because the alternative is just too ugly for Republicans to contemplate politically.
I do think that's right. Even the most reluctant Republicans that I've talked to, Chris Matthews, say that even if they don't like this bill, they feel that there could be political ramifications for it. It's not a matter of if it passes anymore. It's just a matter of how. To that end, we're seeing some key House conservatives go to meet with the White House this morning. I imagine that is going to be a very tense meeting. But when you see that as the landscape here on Capitol Hill, that lawmakers are voting yes on legislation that they even see as potentially problematic, as Murkowski and others have voiced, what does that tell you about the state of Congress, a building that you know so well?
Well, I do know it well. I remember back in 1982 against Ronald Reagan, the Democrats picked up 26 seats in the midterm election in 82. This time around, it's easy. They've got videotape of Tom Tillis of North Carolina, conservative Republican, quitting the United States Senate, giving up his life in the United States Senate because he hated this bill so much, because of what it does to Medicaid. And you've got Jeff Van Drew. Take a look at him, a very conservative Republican, former Democrat from South Jersey, from down near Cape May in Atlantic City. This guy has really got a problem with this bill. And you've got, of course, you've got Susan Collins, and you've got, of course, if you're a more conservative Democrat, there's a few of them around. They're not going to like the spending here. The spending here is exactly what got Joe Biden into trouble. The United States government spends too much money. It causes inflation. It does. If you want to pump up the economy, you spend more money. If it's already pumped up, you can blow it apart with too much spending. So you got a couple of issues here. But Medicaid is an easy one because you can spot the motive and the opportunity of Trump. He wants to help his rich pals out, the Mar-a-Lago crowd, the billionaires, the equity people, the high-tech people. He wants to give them all kinds of money in a tax break. And where's he going to get it from? From your health care, from people that rely on it for Alzheimer's. It's not just poor people that get a Medicaid. It's middle-class people that resort to Medicaid for long-term care. It's the only way you can get long-term care for Alzheimer's patients. And this is real. And this is real with people. And it's why Trump carried Pennsylvania a couple times, because he said, I'm not not going after Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. And now, just a couple weeks ago, he said, I'm not touching Medicaid. And he's done it. He's broken his word with the working people of states like Pennsylvania. So I think the Democrats have a very good chance of picking up maybe not the 30-plus seats they normally get in an off-year election, but maybe 15 to 20 seats, which is plenty enough to take over the House of Representatives, and they get the subpoena power in their hands. And people like Jamie Raskin, when they get that subpoena power, look out, Donald Trump.
Yeah, certainly. All you need is a handful of seats to flip the House. That's something Hakeem Jeffries is all too aware of. But Doris, Chris brings up 1982, the results for Democrats of a 1981 effort by then President Ronald Reagan on his version of tax cuts. When you layer the lens of what happened then over what's happening now, what are the similarities and differences that are striking you, both from the ways that Republicans and Democrats are positioning themselves, but also the way that the president, in this case, doesn't really seem that involved in the minutia?
Yeah, it's interesting, Ali. I mean, of course, as Chris said, I think Ronald Reagan's tax cut seemed, as Tip O'Neill said, to be a Robin Hood in reverse, that it was taking from the poor to give to the rich. And people felt that at the time. And Tip predicted that this would be felt in the midterm elections, as Chris said, as it was. The similarities are the bills are similar. The differences are the president's got involved in both of them. In the case of Ronald Reagan, he went to a joint session of Congress 4 weeks after the assassination. His bill was not getting through too well. And he talked about the fact that he was great. He was funny. He was humorous. He talked about his assassination attempt. He said, people are saying this is a sick society. Never is this a sick society when you've got compassionate people, when you've got civil servant like Brady, when you've got Secret Service agents who protected me. And then he talked about a little kid who wrote into him and said, you better get well soon or you'll be in your pajamas when you're giving your big speech. And the Democrats said they knew they were outgunned that night. The power of the presidency was such. The difference is he was a very popular president. They wanted to go along with him, even though they, too, knew that the skewing of this was going to hurt them in the long run, and it did.